Hi, I'm Dr. Dani Rabwin with ReadyVetGo, the podcast, and I'm really excited for my guest today. This is my friend and beloved ReadyVetGo mentor, Dr. Jeff Klemens. So let's get right into it. Dr. Jeff, thank you so much for being here.
I am so happy to be here.
I'm really happy to have you. You and I have known each other for a few years now. You were one of the first people that came on as a mentor for ReadyVetGo after I realized that there was a lot of interest and I couldn't do this all myself, and that there were a lot of wise, experienced people that we needed to connect with mentors. And then we've become friends through that journey. And I'm just so excited to have you here. And I realize even though I've known you for a while, there's a lot that I probably don't know about you. And so this is my opportunity to just get nosy and ask you things,
Fair.
mostly about your vet med journey. We won't go too much into
Sure.
nosy personal things.
Cool.
So I really don't actually know like how you even got into veterinary medicine. Can you share with me like how that happened? How did you decide you were going to go into vet med, and what was your path to getting
Yeah,
into and through veterinary school?
sure. So when I was a sixth grader, the current occupation of choice was professional chef. And then a veterinarian came and she brought a peach faced lovebird with her. And she talked to us about being a veterinarian and being a doctor for animals. And sixth grade me was like, you know what? That sounds cool. I think that sounds awesome. And after that, it was like that, like sixth grade me was like, I'm going to do this.
Wait,
So
that's incredible. Had you been thinking about that before, or really like she came in and changed things for your life? Really
my
amazing.
my 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 maternal grandfather had like would have been a veterinarian if he like wasn't in the army in World War II. And I think there's a little piece of me that was just, that part of him that is in my genetics, I think was like,
Yeah.
and then I got, I was a senior in high school, and the my dad was in the education system in Greater Clark County, where I grew up and went to public school, and the another counselor, not even my counselor, who was friends with my dad, knew that a local veterinary clinic needed a kennel kid, and she said, "Hey, you should come talk to me about this," and told my dad. So I went and talked to Ms. Patterson, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds good." And I went and applied for the kennel job, and they hired me. And Eastside Animal Hospital was my my clinic as a was a kennel kid, and then an assistant, and then a room assistant, and then a surgical assistant, and just worked my way up into the clinic and went to undergrad and came back and worked during summers and spring breaks and
So you stayed connected with that clinic for quite some time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah. And that was, I think that was my, like, I had mentorship in that clinic and I didn't even know it. There were a couple of doctors that, I end up working for Paul Whitkey, who was an associate there, who ends up moving to West Lafayette and buys Battleground Veterinary Clinic. So while I was, I stopped coming home eventually because undergrad was awesome at Purdue. And why am I going to go home in the summer? Like, college town empties out and you get all of the benefits of a college town and none of the students. Like, this is amazing.
Right. It sounds lovely.
Yeah. So, and then I started working for Paul Whitkey and I was an assistant there. And, that was on the way through, undergrad was supposed to be a 3-year stroll, like check all the prerequisite boxes, apply, get in, go to vet school. Almost made it. Got on the wait list the first time and then got in at my second application. So I did 4 years in undergrad and then started vet school at Purdue. So I was there for 8 years and then it was go time.
And you mentioned that you were getting mentorship and you didn't even really know it. What do you mean by that?
So there are things that, so Piper Hayes and Paul Whitkey and Laura Strong were the 3 doctors that were associates in that clinic when I was, sort of coming up through the ranks. And there there are things from like, there are little things that I sort of picked up from all of them that I can think about and be like, oh, that's the first time I was exposed to that idea. Piper Hayes let me neuter my first cat. She had this cat named Cowboy, and she was the veterinarian that took in the strays, and so she had all of these creatures. And I was a sophomore in undergrad. I think I've shown you that Polaroid actually. Like, it's a Polaroid of me like holding his tiny testicles, like a big smile on my face, because I did my first neuter. Like, she walked me through it. Like, she did the anesthesia,
That's amazing.
but I tied it off, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, and she just said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And it was like, are you talking to me? Like,
What an amazing experience for somebody who was pre-vet.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I went and presented at a community college last week. It was an anatomy club, and it was
Oh.
mostly like pre-med and pre-nursing students. And I was sharing with them about my journey of getting into vet school. And like you, I said, and then I applied and I didn't get in. And then I applied the next year and then I did get in. And then I went on, and somebody raised their hand and she said, can we go back to the part about you not getting in the first time? How did that feel? How did that feel? I was like, oh, it was devastating. She's like, oh, thank God. And so it reminded me that pre-med, pre-nursing, pre-vet students, there's this anxiety about maybe not getting in the first time. And I want to normalize not getting in, because clearly it's happened to both of us. Can you just go back now and share what was that like? Just that
Soul
point
crushing.
where you
Like,
didn't get in? Because now I know people are really interested in that.
yeah, no, I like, I can, gosh, the memory is too vivid still. Um, like, I can see I'm standing in my dorm room at Hillenbrand Hall, on Purdue campus, and I'm opening the letter and I'm reading the letter that says, "Hey, man, you were great, but we're gonna have to ask you to join the wait list and definitely come back next year." Um, and it was like, uh, I had been in New Zealand, so I had gone to New Zealand to for foreign exchange my second semester sophomore year, and that was like, the guy that came back from that trip is probably more the guy that I am today. The the 20-year-old kid that left the US to do that, like, he stayed in, like, he was gone. Um,
Mm,
and I had, like, like, legal drinking age was 20. I had all of these Kiwi friends. I met this cool group of international students that were all there at the same time. Monica ends up becoming my classmate at Purdue. Like, she's there from Cornell, and we end up in the same vet school class. I
wow.
had a girlfriend from Berkeley who was like super smart and super fun, and I like I was like, guys, I can't stay. I have to go back because
Mm,
I have to stay on track to get into vet school. Like, I
mm,
can't I can't stay here any longer. And
mhm.
that was tough because I watched Gordon from Colorado State like get a job dealing cards at the Christchurch casino and like meet this Kiwi girl and have this relationship, and I'm going, man,
Oh, I could stay.
this could work. Yeah, but it was, I have to go back. I have to
You
go
were
back.
like really focused
Yeah,
on doing
and
what you
and
needed to
to
do to get
like
into
to
vet
get to the
school.
end of that letter, then at the like mid junior year, why didn't I stay in New
Yeah.
Zealand? Like,
Right.
damn it.
Yeah.
So then it was, what do you do? Okay, I guess I reapply, and I
And did you do anything differently that year? It sounded like you still had to complete your senior year, so you were clearly still a
yeah.
student. Did you
So
do anything else to improve your application?
I honestly, like, I already had over 2,000 hours of clinic hours.
Mm,
I'd studied abroad. So I think what I did was I continued to be active in like my club stuff. Um,
mhm.
I worked in the catering department at the union. I dropped freshman level engineering calculus like a bad habit because I had transferred into
Smart.
the School of Science. so that I could get a degree in biochemistry because I had all of these credits towards a biochem bachelor's, and I had no intention of getting a bachelor's. There was no bachelor's degree. I don't need a bachelor's. I'm going to get a doctorate. I need to do prereqs to go to school to get my doctorate.
Right.
So I transferred into the School of Science, and I end up like I got to take calculus for liberal arts kids because I was in the School of Agriculture, and that was, I took calculus in high school, and it was horrible. I got a 1 on the AP Calc test because I think a 1 just for being there, So I was done with that, and then it's like trig based calc, and me and math have never necessarily been the best of friends. And then it was a TA who, like, English was her third language because math was her second language and Romanian was her first language. And I was like, I'm going to get a D in this class if I'm lucky, and that is going to wreck my GPA.
Yeah.
So I called my mom and dad, and I was like, hey, I have to drop this class. Like, this has nothing to do with what I want to be, and it might actually negatively affect me. And so then I'm a part-time student because I don't have enough credit hours. And they're like, well, you need to get a job. So that was like, I took more hours at catering, and, I took fun stuff. Like, I took a film class. I took a creative writing class. I took histories of the ancient worlds. Like,
oh my gosh.
I
It sounds like a really fun year, and you were working in catering too, which I think is just so important to have jobs before vet school that are not just veterinary related. Do you feel like that was helpful for you?
Oh, absolutely. And I had like Mary Jo Bullerdick, which, God bless her, that is a tough name to have, but she was my boss, and she was like the first, like, probably, real boss that I had because I had worked at a place for a while, and she was awesome. Like, she was so, like, again, like, I'm learning things, but I don't actually realize that I'm learning things because I'm just taking in the experience and the sort of tutelage, and it's just about how to do good customer service. And, like, we're wait staff, we got bow ties, and like, we need to be clean and tidy. And, there's an anticipated, uh, you know, we know what's expected of us, and like, okay, cool, I can totally do that. So understanding, like, this is what establishing expectations is. Like, I see. It's a lot easier for me to do this when I know what I'm asked to do.
Right. And those are skills that you can translate into, what we do every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had all that experience, and then you got in the second time. You went to Purdue.
Yeah.
Did you know what you wanted to do after vet school, or like what was your vet school journey like?
Yeah, so it was like, I thought I wanted to do small animal and exotics, in the beginning. I kind of dropped the exotics piece along the way, because it was like, oh my God, I have to do dogs and cats, and I have to do horses and cows and sheep.
Yeah.
And like, I'm a city mouse. I'm not a country mouse. Like, all of the large animal stuff to me was just so, like, out of anything that I had any real experience with. We affectionately called it Pedi-Cow at Purdue, but it was Animal Science 101, and that was like a prerequisite. And that was like, you got a little piece of all of the different animal systems in agriculture. So you went to the swine unit, you went to the aquaculture unit, you went to the poultry unit, and that was like, I had never seen any of that. Like, that was all new to me. And it was like, oh my God, like, I have to know all of this. Like, I can't add more species. Like,
it's a lot of species.
Yeah, I was like, that's not mandatory. So I think I need to let that go. And that's okay. Like, I'm dog and cats. As I told Dr. Raglan, our swine professor, walking down the hallway senior year, he says, Klemens, you seem like you did really good in swine medicine. Like, I think you'd make a good hog doc. And I said, Dr. Raglan, I really appreciate that, man, but I got to be honest with you. I eat large animals. I want people like you to take care of them for me. I
so that I can eat them.
yeah, so that I can enjoy the fruits of your labors, like because I appreciate you, but it's not for me, man. Like, yeah, it's
You
not.
must have been doing something right though to get that high compliment from a pig vet.
Well, like I think pigs and dogs are so similar, like
Mhm.
so it's not it's the easy step from small animal world to
Right.
food animal world. Um,
Except that the environment is so different. That's what always got me was like, I really just like things very clean and tidy, and I just always felt so out of my element anytime I had to go to the pig barns.
No, and I don't like we had these green they were like bib overalls,
Yeah.
like that was the hey, on your here's your list of things that you need to have,
Right.
and I didn't like they were like $90 or something. Like I was like, man, these are expensive. So
Yeah.
I just went to Tractor Supply and I got some zip up gray like mechanic style coveralls, and
Smart.
I ended up putting a Ghostbusters patch
Of
on
course you
the.
did.
Yeah, I did. So one of the ambulatory clinicians started calling me Egon. He was like, Egon, and he's still like, even when I still see him, he's like, oh, Egon, how are you? Like it's stuck. And he tells the story. He's like, here comes this kid like walking down the large animal breezeway with his gray coveralls and his patch on, and he's like, who is this joker? And
Yeah.
I was a good like, I was attentive. I was a good student. Like I
Right.
wasn't causing a disruption. And he said, man, you were a good student. I said, well, Dr. Hilton, I just got a different way about me.
Right. So was there ever anything about small animal that you thought like ever played around with the idea of specializing, or did you like everything? Were you looking forward to doing all the things in general practice?
So I was really lucky. Gary Lance was still teaching dentistry at Purdue when I was a student, and I was like, dentistry is cool, man. Like,
Really?
oh yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah. Like I took the junior. You had to take like the junior year course, and then you had to get lucky because senior year you were like, hey, I'd like to do these blocks, and I was like, well, that's great. There's a bit of a lottery to it, and I got lucky
Yeah.
that I got one of the dental blocks. So I was ready to be a dentist, and um,
Wow. I did not know this.
there was a short period of time where I thought, if I really liked it, like I could get boarded through practice, and maybe make dentistry a secondary thing.
Yeah.
Turns out my classmate Heather was the one that did that, and she's a boarded dentist and works in the Carolinas. Um, and I love it. Like I still love doing it, but I joined my first practice, and um, I had a scaler, and I had four things that were called elevators. That was probably generous for three of them,
Oh no.
and I took out a slab fractured fourth premolar on a golden retriever with a tiny hacksaw because I didn't have a high speed handpiece, and the roots were fine. Like it was a slab fracture.
What?
There was no. So I
Yeah.
made a flap, and then like had a little like handheld hacksaw and sectioned the tooth with his hacksaw,
Wow.
and took a high speed Dremel and dremeled down some of that alveolar bone. And it was like, oh, this is really bad because this is really hot and heat is bad. But
Yeah.
I cannot leverage this healthy anatomy with what I have. I do
Right.
not have the tool to do this. And the dog did fine. It was like a 2 hour extraction. Like it was awful. But
Oh, what an experience your first year out.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Veterinarians, like, we are such problem solvers. That's a perfect example. Like, you have to make do with what you have. I sometimes feel like, it's so tempting to want to go someplace that has every bell and whistle you could possibly imagine at your disposal for your first job. But there's so much to be learned by having to use your own ingenuity and creativity. I don't not suggesting that somebody should have to take out a carnasial tooth the way you did. That sounds awful. But you probably learned so much from doing that. And you also learned that the dog actually did fine. You used your
Every
skills and experience, and
Everything was
It
okay.
went fine.
Everything was okay.
So was this in your first job after
Mhm,
school?
mhm.
How did you decide to take this job?
So my in-school relationship took me to a part of the state, and then I applied at four different clinics, and two of the clinics were like, "Hey, we'd like to offer you a job," and I was between this place and this place, and I was like, well, there's two doctors here, and I would be doctor three versus there's one and a half doctors here. So that seems better. They were both Purdue guys. It was a very nice practice. Like the building was nice. I had my own office. It's the only time
Oh,
I've ever had an office.
fancy.
Right. I brought cytology to the clinic. That was not a diagnostic modality. There was no stain when I started, and I just, hey, where's your guys' stain at? Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, yeah,
So you're talking about just basic, even like skin and ear cytologies?
like diff quick. Like there was no diff quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no 3-part stain. No,
Wow.
and eventually, like I start doing ear cytologies and skin cytologies, and Doc Lindsay, hey bud, can you do me one of those ear cytologies? Yeah, Doc Lindsay, no problem. Yeah. All right.
Wait, so how did you convince them to bring this stuff in? There was a microscope there? Were they doing fecals?
Yep.
So they had the microscope. So
Mhm.
what you were asking for wasn't really a big financial lift. You just needed some stain.
Just needed some stain. There were slides. There was a microscope. It wasn't something that either like Doc Lindsay graduated from Purdue the first time that there were. It was a 4-year program. So in the
Wow.
beginning, vet school was not a 4-year program. And Dr. Hall graduated the year before I was born. So these guys, like I was a young 27
Yeah.
coming in here, and
Yeah.
cytology just wasn't a diagnostic tool that they were taught, and they hadn't picked it up in CE to add it into their
Right.
practice. So it just wasn't a thing.
And it sounds like they were open to you bringing in, and then once they could see the value of it, they wanted to have you do that for them and learn from you. I also imagine that working for what we would say is like old school veterinarians like that, you probably learned a ton. And again, I said like it's so tempting for people to want to take these first jobs in places that are just, all the bells and whistles and everything at their disposal. And I argue often that there is so much to be learned from the types of veterinarians that you started working for and that I started working for, which are, probably of similar generations. And I learned so much. My first boss, my beloved mentor Buff, took me under his wing and told me he was going to teach me cowboy medicine. And he did. And I learned so much. Do you have like one or two things that you remember learning from these doctors that you still use, or that, seemed kind of like old school, but that actually turned out to be like, oh, that really works, and incorporated that? Anything that comes to mind?
Um, so I think I think the thing that I probably took away that was the overarching theme was that it, even if things aren't done under the under the constraints that the ivory tower of academia would recommend, um, things can go okay. Um,
Mm,
so don't get caught up in your, well, I can't do this because I can't have this or
right.
this, that like that's not how it works in the real world of medicine.
Yeah.
Yes, there are there are better ways. There are, how about, let's say there are more ideal ways to do things. Um,
Hmm.
we should try to use that level of idealism as best we can.
Right.
If you can't, that shouldn't stop you from trying or doing something different. Um, as I watched the golf ball get squeezed through the jejunum of the dachshund that was on the surgery table,
Oh
and I
no.
saw the subtle tearing of the serosa of the enterotomy incision as the golf ball was milked through the bowel. Um, oh, this is bad. Like, because I'm running anesthesia because um, they did very much injectable anesthesia. They had an isoflurane machine, but they didn't really use it much. So when they had
So
come,
this was in your early career.
it
You're doing
was
anesthesia for one of your first mentors at this clinic, one of these doctors who's doing this procedure.
yeah,
Okay. And I've got the visual with the
and
dachshund
and he
and the golf
just
ball and the jejunum.
yeah, and it was like everything's packed off, but and the it's not a pretty color. Like that jejunum is mad about it. It's a shade of purple. It's not a shade of red, and he just whips his enterotomy closed, puts his
Yep.
little mental patch on there, puts that back in, and I'm going, this dog's gonna die. Like
Yep.
that's gonna fall apart. This dog's gonna get septic peritonitis. I'm gonna have been the one on anesthesia. Like I don't know. And I took that dog's sutures out 2 weeks later, and he was fine. That's all.
I learned similar things from my mentors. I can't tell you how many times I would call my mentor in to look at that purple tissue and say, I'm going to resect an anastomosis, and was told, no, you're not. It's going to be fine. And every time it was fine. I've had to do resections and anastomosis for things that were more obviously needed, but I think that is something that we can learn from these mentors. They've seen a lot and they know what the body can do and how much we can get away with. I can relate to that story so
I'm
much. I've
I'm a
had that
firm
experience.
believer of like give Bal a chance. Like man, give it a
Give
chance.
Bell a chance.
Yeah, you
It's so true, Jeff.
can always go back. Worst case scenario, you can go back and get it later. But man, if it's not black and like just not moving, like let it reperfuse.
Yeah.
Keep the patient hydrated, keep their albumin at a nice level because that's how it's going to heal. And get out of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, I love that story so much. And presumably there's a communication piece with the client around this because, like you just said, we can always go back in later. And if you share that with the client, I don't know if this is part of the conversations that you have, but, around like, well, there was this, tissue that I think is going to really heal fine, but there's a small chance this might happen. We can always go back in and planting that seed ahead of time before the pet gets sick. If it does dehiss or get peritonitis, then, you're really kind of, decreasing the chances of people being really upset.
Yeah, for sure.
So jumping ahead, like, you have mentored so many people. You've been in practice for a long time. And, even before coming in and working with us at ReadyVetGo, you've, I'm sure, mentored many people. And now you've had the opportunity to have mentees who have come through the program. And you're, chatting with them in their early careers. Are these things that are coming up in your pack meetings and when you're talking to new grads, the things about like what you were just sharing that you learned from this early mentor about um, still being able to move forward even without having all of the perfect tools or information, and that a lot of times it can be okay.
Mhm. In my second pack for sure, because one of my mentees worked in rural Missouri, and
Yeah.
man, it like she would talk about, well, I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about what you do have. Like,
Yeah.
let's start there. And
Right.
that was those were some. We definitely had some interesting conversations about what we can do, and how do we get people access to things if we can't get them access at our clinic? Like, okay, there's some workarounds. Like, there's some ways to get drugs. Certainly, that's pretty easy. Like, you know, there's groups out there that will help people. Like, you kind of got to do a little legwork to find
Right.
those community groups, those rescue groups, those that angel fund, that whatever, that
Mm-hmm.
to sort of help people get resources to do things sometimes.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yeah. And now more than ever, I feel like people are really having to seek out those resources, and it's sometimes up to us to have those conversations.
yeah,
I want to talk more about you being a mentor because you're so good at it, and I love all of that. But I also want to talk about um, the other part of Jeff, which is just some of your like extracurricular activities. Because I feel like, wait, what is that?
that's a dragon head on the wall.
Oh, I can't see it from here. Yeah, exactly. There's a dragon head right behind you, and I feel like you are really somebody who, um, cultivates and invests time into life outside of vet med, and I have seen firsthand how sometimes you bring them together in ways that probably bring a lot of joy to your role as a veterinarian and to the people that you work with. But can you can you talk about some of those things? Like, how do you make time for, everybody talks about work life balance, and I don't know if that exists, and I don't know if you would say you have work life balance, but I definitely know that you have interests outside of work. How do you make time for those things? Can you just talk about that part of you? Because I just love
Sure.
it and think it's so fascinating.
So I think the two things that help me the most are one, I'm a full time relief veterinarian, so I make the schedule. Two, I do not have dependents. So my life has a level of complexity that I have not added or eliminated. Um, so the inner nerd in me is the one who is absolutely driving that bus.
Mhm.
So I have now joined the board game club at my local VCA specialty referral, where I'm working swing shifts in their ER. Um,
There's a board game club at the clinic?
Oh yeah, the that clinic has like ultra clubs. Like there's a book club
Oh,
and a board game club and a cycling club. Like I was like, wow, like you guys
amazing.
like it's so I have my own board game group groups. We're currently sitting at my board game table, which you cannot see, nor can you see the luxurious board game shelving that is on the other side of the computer. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I, I'm a craft beer junkie. I once once I discovered uh, dark beer that because in the beginning, like, ew, beer, gross. I drank Zima fresh beer, like Zima and like Jolly Ranchers.
Same.
Dude, so good. Like this
They're
is
so good.
just like beer is gross. Well, it's one of those things that you do develop a taste for, and then you start
Mhm.
to get into craft beer. And Dragon's Milk from New Holland Brewery in Michigan was my first my 1A and 1B. Moloko
Mhm.
Milk Stout from Three Floyds Brewery in Munster, Indiana, was also my. Those are my two like gateway beers. Like
Yeah.
they are the beers that opened up the world to me, and now there's so much. Like there's just not enough hours to drink and taste all the things, because there's so much, and I think that
Yeah.
like craft beer, craft cocktails, small like restaurants that do locally sourced ingredients or grow things that they immediately cook, like all of that. Like I would have been a really good Greek if I grew up in ancient Greece, like you know, I would have if I was wealthy, if I was lucky enough to have wealth and was not of the plebeian class, the
Right.
lesser, like I would have there would have been bacchanals at my place, like
Right.
we would have lived it up, like there would have been food and wine and people,
Yeah.
and, I would absolutely have lived that life if I
It sounds like you're doing your part to approximate,
I,
though,
I
that in
am. No, I'm
2025.
trying to make up for a past me that didn't
Yeah,
exist.
it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So will this dictate, like, where you'll go to, like, try new restaurants? Does it influence where you travel?
So it's we my wife and I have not taken advantage of some of the like. Do you want to go play Dungeons and Dragons in a castle in Scotland? Because you can do that. I have not
That
done
sounds perfect for you guys.
that sound like that's on our bucket list, and we have a friend who has now started her own travel agency business, and she's a gamer. And I was like, "Hey, Leslie, so what do you got for gamers?" And she's like, "Oh, I have
Yeah.
so many things." So
Oh.
that's on our 2026 agenda.
Yeah, that's a convenient friend to have.
Yeah. Yeah, and they travel a lot, and she's taken her love for travel into, she got tired of working in the corporate world. It was like, I'm just done. I need to do something else, and I think she's going to be awesome because, she's a lawyer by trade. Like she's a very detail oriented person. Like, what a great background. You're a
Right.
travel agent. Like,
Yeah, that sounds perfect. All
yeah.
right, well, you'll have to tell me when you do that, and then maybe you can book a craft beer trip out here to California.
There is good beer in California.
Mhm.
I am already awares.
I'm sure. Wait,
Yes.
so talk about this dragon head above you then.
So that his name is David Lee Pancake.
Of course.
That's his real name. Uh,
Okay.
his family came from Germany, and their like German name was like Kugel ish, so it turned to Pancake. And he is an
Okay.
artist in Greenwood, Indiana, and he has a booth at Gen Con every year. And Gen Con, for those of you that don't know, is the largest gaming convention in the United States. It's probably the second largest gaming convention in the world. It happens usually the last weekend of August or the first weekend, I'm sorry, last weekend of July, first weekend of August every year. It's in Indianapolis. It's in my backyard.
How convenient for you.
It is the central event of my personal calendar. Um, Reliable Relief Services has two mandatory periods where the office is closed. The office is closed during Gen Con, and the office is closed during the NCAA tournaments. We're very sorry, but we're not available for shifts
We are not picking up relief shifts during those
during those times.
national death holidays.
Nope, no, we're very sorry. So I stalked David Lee Pancake's booth for years and just looked at the beautiful handmade, um, hand painted dragon heads. And I finally had a place to put it when we refinished this basement and created our
Yeah,
living space. And
I love it.
so now
It's
she.
perfect. It's like a perfect background.
Mhm, mhm.
So you mentioned the relief, and I know that that is your full-time gig right now. How did you end up getting into relief? And it seems like it suits your lifestyle. You're happy with it. Can you just talk a little bit about how you transitioned into doing full-time relief medicine?
I went from full time ER to relief. And I did 8 years in general practice. Then I did 5 years of 24-hour ER non specialty. That's like, whoo, saw some things, did some
I
things.
bet.
Um, the While I was doing that, I was a younger person. So I started to do relief at a little clinic that was owned by one of the investors in the ER that I worked.
Mm,
And because I wanted to make a little money on the side, it was like, well, I'm only working 14 shifts a month. Like I could go do this like on Wednesdays and some Saturdays. And, um, I would do silly things like work an overnight and go work a day shift, or work day shift
whew,
and then go work an overnight. And, I just, again, as a younger person then, uh,
right.
and it just was like, this is cool. Like, and I kind of I like new places and new things. And after 5 years of full-time ER, like,
Yeah,
man,
that's tiring.
it, the stack of sympathy cards is getting real high around here, guys.
Yeah.
And this is hard. Like it,
Yeah.
and when you work nights, like I'm a night person. I don't like. I loved working nights. Like I have amazing stories and super fun memories of those times. But none of your friends work nights. Like your
Right.
coworkers work nights, and
Right.
you realize you can't just flip it. Like you can try, but it's not sustainable.
Right.
And I just, and there was some life change that's sort of occurring at the same time. And I was like, you know what, like if I can do relief in Northwest Indiana, like I could probably do relief in any city. Like I just need to
Mm,
get my name out. Like it
yeah.
seemed, and I had a strategic plan. I had this 6 month plan where okay, this month I'm doing this, and this month I'm doing this, and this month I'm doing this. And I just got my name out there. I think I've told you the story of the Christmas cards where I made an introductory letter, and I like sneak mailed 75 clinics around the greater Indianapolis area. And I hand wrote the envelopes and addressed it to the owner of the practice and didn't put an address on it and put it in nice Christmas envelopes so it looked like a Christmas card from a client, so it wouldn't just be like pitched out.
Yeah.
And I got two jobs from that. Like,
That's so
so,
smart.
and it was just like this sort of guerrilla. I was like, this is like guerrilla marketing. This is smart. Like
Yes.
it'll just get me in front of people. And as you know, my wife is a graphic designer, and she's delightfully good at her job. And she
Uh-huh.
made a website, and so my website was made, and we moved
Right.
to Fishers, and I had this job and this job, and then I got this job and this job, and it just.
And so you do all of this yourself through Reliable Relief Services. I mean, were you starting this before the days of the apps that are available now for matching? And so you're not doing any of that. You're handling all the business side on your own.
Yep.
So I mean, it can be done. I mean, this is, in the time before these apps existed, the relief veterinarians were doing it the way you are.
I mean,
And
it's 2018 WVC.
yeah.
Hey, Cindy Trice. Wow. Like, oh, this lady's talking about being a relief vet. That's cool. What's Relief Rover?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I should go check that out. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
should. I
And
sent
thanks
her,
to you checking out Relief Rover, that's how you and I met, since she's my
mhm.
bestie and connected us.
And I sent her a thank you text on Thanksgiving. And I just said, hey, I just want you to know, like, because her dad just died. And I thought, man,
Yeah.
this is this is going to be a hard one. Like, this is that first holiday without that
Yeah.
person. I
Yeah.
said, hey, I'm just thinking about you. I hope you're doing okay today. And it wasn't too tough. And I said, I just want you to know how thankful I am that we met each other, because without you, there's no Danny. Without Danny, there's no RVG. Without RVG, there's not this, like, my current pack. I just love them. I just love them so
Oh,
much. Like,
oh,
they're this
this makes me
amazing.
so happy.
They're just like, they're a blend of backgrounds and educational experience and like clinical experience, and they're already engaged. Like, they brought
Yeah.
things to the second pack meeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, you brought
Yeah.
things already. Oh, oh
Which
yes.
is pretty impressive, considering, it's getting 5 people together who don't know each other, and we're asking them to be open and vulnerable. And, we have 12 pack meetings during the year. So by the second one, for everyone to be just so open and
Yeah.
engaged is really incredible. And I think
Yeah.
it's, I haven't sat in on your pack meetings. I'm confident your mentees are incredible. And I imagine that there's something that you are doing to create this space of, safety, where people feel comfortable bringing their challenges to this group. Oh, yeah. I mean, and you wear it
Unless,
on your shirt, you matter, and you project that. You project that you matter, and people feel that. I mean, we are just so grateful to have you as a mentor, and I know your mentees are just so lucky to
they're
have
just
you.
they're just ripe little fruit, you know? Just, oh,
Yeah,
just fruit.
those ReadyVetGo pack meetings are pretty magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly cannot believe how fast time is flying. I have so many more questions for you, so we're gonna have to schedule another one.
Let's do it.
'Cause,
Let's do it. I'll do it.
I do want to get to a question that I like to ask everybody, because I find that early career vets, especially, really kind of like to hear about some of the mistakes that we have made, or the adverse events that have
Mm.
happened to us in our careers that we have managed to successfully navigate and still be out here practicing and enjoying what we do. And I know you enjoy what you do. I hear it from you all the time. Is there something that you can think of that happened in your career, like a mistake that you made, or something that happened that you had to navigate successfully, or maybe a mentor or somebody helped you navigate that? Is there anything that comes to mind that you can share with people?
Yeah. Are you sure you didn't want to start with this? Because it's not, there's not just one, Danny. It's 20 years. We've
We would have in 20 years, we would have needed a whole hours podcast to hear about the mistakes. Thank you for normalizing that. I mean, it's not like we make one and then never make another one. There are multiple.
So I think one of my favorites, because it turned out to be okay, was before I appreciated that cats oftentimes have sticky platelets, and
Mm,
their platelets can be low because they're sticky, not because they're low.
right.
Um, it was a cat with a fever that wasn't feeling well that I diagnosed with ITP because
Oh,
I thought he had ITP. So
yeah.
I I put him on all the prednisolone, and
Just all the
um,
bread.
mm, and he did not, as it turns out, have ITP. But I did very much give him pneumonia, and he came back and he was real sick.
Oh
And
no.
so I hospitalized him and I treated his pneumonia, and he was okay. I stopped his prednisone, and
Yeah.
uh, we just treated his pneumonia, and he was like, there was no ER around the corner, so he stayed at my
Right.
clinic,
So it was on
and
you.
mhm. and
How
I
did you end up finding out that he did not, in fact, have ITP?
because he got worse with the treatment that I gave him,
Right.
and like that's a good clue that you might not have the right diagnosis if your
Yeah,
treatment
that's
is making your
yep.
patient worse.
Yep.
Um, and when he came back in, like he sounded terrible, and his like he was a little dyspneic. And then I took his chest rads and went, "Oh no!" Uh,
Oh no. And so you feel like
thankfully,
by giving him all the pred, his immune system just tanked and he got
and I
pneumonia
think like
after that.
that cat might have had like mycoplasma infection at the time, and that's where his fever was coming from.
Yep.
And I just, I didn't use anti-inflammatory doses of corticosteroid. I used
Right.
immunosuppressive doses, like because
Right.
I thought I had to. I thought that was what I was supposed to do based on the
Yeah.
diagnosis that I had made. The awesome part of that little cat was he was kind of a jerk. Um, and after I accidentally tried to kill him, he was really friendly. Like
Oh.
when I saw the owner, like he had been in the hospital, and the guy had this was like his 2 week recheck to hey, we've been on meds for a couple weeks, and he was doing okay, and he's like, you know what, man? He said, Dr. Klemens, I just like he likes to sit on my lap now, and he likes affection, and he
Oh.
wasn't like that before, and
Yeah.
I was like I'm so thankful that he's alive. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry that this is what made him a
Right.
fair cat. This was not my intention. Uh,
Right.
but
Well, it sounds like something went right with the client. They came back to you for their 2-week recheck. Can you talk about that part? Because I feel like the
so,
communication probably had to be really important for navigating this
so
type of a case.
yeah, this is so friends. Um, here's the deal. When you make a mistake, you have to fess up. You have to be
Mm,
honest about the mistake, because if you're not, it's all gonna be worse. It already sucks. You cannot make it unsuck when you make a
right.
mistake. Like you can't.
Right.
But you much like you can make all of your patients worse, you can make all of your mistakes worse by not being forthcoming. So that's not a
That's so
fun
true.
conversation to have.
Yep.
But hey, Mister, I don't remember the guy's name. I don't even remember the cat's name, to be honest. But I was like, hey, man, I think I made the wrong diagnosis. I I'm pretty sure that I made this happen because of X. I chose the wrong drug. I did a little more reading, and I think maybe that platelet count wasn't real. And like I was probably less than a year out of school. I think like this was real early. Um,
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, well, what do we do? I said, okay, well, here's what we do. And so we did, and it was okay. It,
Yeah.
you know, but there was no like, I don't know what happened. It must have just gotten worse, like
Right.
that's,
And the client was probably so appreciative of your honesty. And I imagine it was so hard for you as an early career vet, probably that heart sinking feeling when you realized, oh, I might have really just made the wrong diagnosis and made this situation worse. You had to like go through all of that and then talk about it with the client. And it's so hard to do that, but clients appreciate it so much more, just that honesty. And he probably could feel that you wanted to make it better.
mhm. And Doc Hall, I, hey, because I take the chest films, And like I'm like, oh my god, he has fungal pneumonia. Like, oh my god, it's blasto. It's something like really really bad. So
Yeah.
Dr. Paul, can you come look at these? Can you come look at these radiographs? He's like, oh yeah, yeah, those look pretty rough. He said, yeah, you know. He said, what are you going to do about it? I said, well, you know, I think I'm going to hospitalize him, and you know, maybe I'm going to run like I should run some fungal titers maybe. And he said, why don't you just give him some fluids and start him on some antibiotics and see how he does? Okay, you know, because he's going, man, kid, that's just pneumonia. Like, don't.
That's pneumonia.
Yeah, it's
Because
okay.
he'd seen it, lots of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was right. Like the
Yeah.
cat was okay. You know,
Right.
after a couple days.
What a great case. Thank you for sharing that with us. And it's amazing. I mean, here you are 20 years in and it like just really sticks with you. And
Oh yeah, I mean,
mhm.
are the things that we do wrong are the things that linger. Like that. I mean, I think like I have much more vivid memories of mistakes than I do
Yeah,
of.
I think that's human nature and veterinary professionals especially, we're really so good at remembering those mistakes and it's why in our, Ready Vet Go workshops we always encourage people to end with our wins because the wins really do far outnumber the mistakes. Like there were so many wins just in that case that you shared, around communication and around, improving your diagnostic tree and so many wins in that case, and yet we still remember the mistake. And so as much as we have the opportunity to remember our own wins and to point them out for each other, the better, just because it is such human nature to remember those mistakes. So but I like to share them not because I want somebody to like have to dig up some
Some trauma.
bad memory about some
Yes.
trauma, but because I think it's really important. I think there's so much fear around making the mistake and doing everything that we can to avoid making them rather than saying like, we're going to make them and here's how we can navigate them after they happen. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
This has been really amazing, Jeff. I have talked to you all day. So I would love to schedule something again. This was incredible. Thank you so much for all your stories. My cheeks hurt really because I've been kind of laughing a lot. Which I'm not totally surprised after spending so much time with you that I would just be laughing, but there were just so many like pearls of wisdom and really amazing stories, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much.
I'm so like I I'm so happy to be part of it. Like if if you're like, hey, so I'm gonna need you to think about like quitting your GP thing and just come do this full time. Like
Come to Ready Vet Go full time.
oh man, you got
Careful what you ask for.
I like that's like oh boy. I don't like we there would be serious considerations. Like
Oh,
there would be big feelings and big thoughts and
yeah.
it would there would be a little soul searching, I think. But yeah, I just I wonder I often wonder like what I would have been like if I had something like this then. Like would I be the same? Would I have done things differently fast like but but then it's like
Yeah.
you get stuck in that like well there is no what ifs
Right.
like this is how it went like and you're fine like you
And you're fine. Yeah. And
yeah,
you learned the way you did and I learned the way I did, but
yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have said like I wish Ready Vet Go existed when I was a new grad. And to get that kind of feedback is just so amazing. And when I built Ready Vet Go, I really did it for the new grads and for the mentees, and I didn't quite honestly appreciate how much it would affect the mentors. And I didn't realize that it would attract such an amazing group of people like you who have come to give back to this profession and this like adding so much value to the professional lives of my colleagues and peers has just been this like unexpected joy for me. So I love watching you grow in this role as this beloved Ready Vet Go mentor and come into this like new phase for you, and it's just amazing. So
my,
lots of
my
gratitude.
my teacher parents are very proud
Oh, I bet
and
that's
they are
amazing.
like you always have that better relationship with your parents when you're older.
Yeah.
A lot of people do and
Yeah.
I like they're a fountain of knowledge because it's like 50 plus
Yeah.
years of
Yeah.
public school education and administration, and
Yep.
they like they're just a little like they. Oh, you want to talk to us about one of your? Oh, sure. What would you like to talk about?
Oh. Oh, I
Like
love that so much.
yeah.
I love
And
that so much. Well, thank you to Jeff's parents for creating the Jeff that we all get to take advantage of. Hopefully they'll listen. Well, thank you for being here.
happy to. Let's do it again sometime for
Let's
sure.
do it.
We should bring beer. We should.
Yeah, craft beer next time.
I will bring a favored Indiana beer, and you can bring a favored California beer, and we
I have
can.
to sadly bring a gluten-free beer because I have the celiac and beer is something that I had to give up. So, if we know of any really good gluten-free, there are some craft beers that are doing gluten-free and I've been sampling them as I come across them. So, we'll get creative.
It's out there. You just have to find the right brewer. But
Right.
there's good stuff out there. Yeah,
All right,
I,
next time
I'm
next
on
time
the
with beer.
I'm on the hunt.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No problem.